Hello and welcome to another edition of Battle Ready, where today, Warhammer is what kind of game?
Fight things.
It is a fight things game, but I mean, it's 1v1, right?
Yeah, it's 1v1.
It's a two-player only, it's versus, and the question is, does it have to be?
No.
Yeah, there's this system set up by the core rules that is really interesting and engaging, and it clearly could be built into more. And at the end of third edition, so Dawnbringers comes out, and so we're in like the last 5 months of the edition, 6 months. They start introducing new modes of play.
Why?
And
why that late?
I think they do it late because they don't want to balance them. I think they want to throw them out there, be like, hey, here's a fun mode, but then they don't want people to be like, oh, the Nurgle's too powerful in the team mode or whatever. So they're just like, here's some stuff, and then they get out of dodge. They're like, here, they run the other way.
They hop on Roadrunner.
Exactly. So, but what I would like, but clearly it's possible. And so what I thought we'd talk about today is what game modes should they give us? And, they could sell us another book, right? They love selling books. Be like the co-op book, or here's the Siege book, or
here's
whatever.
Here's the Fight in Tunnels book.
Exactly. So they could totally, I think there's profit to be made. And then what you do is you just say, hey, these scenarios aren't meant to be strictly balanced. And maybe you give them a pass once a year with the battle scroll, right? So they get updated once a year. But otherwise, they're just like, hey, you guys make your own fun, and here's some rules that basically keep things flavorful and even, but we're not promising everyone's going to be at the 50% win rate, right? And I would love to see that. But what modes would you like to see, Drake?
Siege, co-op.
Well, let's pick one. What do you want to talk about first?
Co-op.
Co-op. All right, what is co-op?
2 players working together against one AI.
2 players working together.
At least. You could do this. Third mode solo.
Okay.
Solo.
Let's start with cooperative. I think this is the one that most needs to be added. I think that, and it's something that in second edition, they did have a White Dwarf article that had a co-op game system that worked okay.
Yep.
It was fine.
What were the 3 armies that would...
There were 3 possible villains. Nighthaunt, Khorne, and Gitz. Was it Gitz?
Yeah, because it said, is Gitz one of them? And you said yes. And I said, can we run that one? And you said no, because one of the only enemies we had was like the Squid Herd or something.
Okay, I can't remember. But there were a couple different enemies. And then it had like an AI about how they move and stuff. And it was pretty fun.
It had a real small board.
Mm-hmm. And that was pretty good. It was really good because I got to play with Drake's sisters, my daughters.
Yeah.
And they were very young. So they were probably like 6 and 7 at that time. And they were able to play because they didn't need to strategize, right? They didn't need to see what battle tactic I'm picking and then think about, ooh, how am I going to deny that tactic? No, they're like, I want to move some cool guys around and roll dice and fight. And in a co-op, I could handle the big stuff because we're all on the same team, the strategy, and then they would move their guy in and roll dice to attack, and everybody had fun. So I think co-op was a tremendous one. I think whether it's 2-player or more, I think the more probably the better, right? I guess up to a certain limit, right? You can't have 75 co-op, 75 player.
No, you just have each player fight his own army.
And I think that would be great. And there's nothing stopping Warhammer from having that, because you could put together a fairly simple AI. You could do a deck of cards. You could do roll on a chart.
Yep.
You could make it more deterministic. Wouldn't be that bad. And then you would have this game experience that you don't need to have tournaments for or anything. It's not for that, but it's something that, hey, the 2 of us, we play every week, but hey, this week somebody's friend comes over and is like, oh, I want to learn about the game.
Co-op?
Well, yeah, then you're just like, hey, we'll play a co-op game then. And that way we're all on the same team. You don't have to worry. Your friend doesn't have to worry about us like ganging up and beating the snot out of him, right? And you go from there.
That's always the best.
Yeah. So I think a co-op mode would be fantastic. And you could adapt that to solo too, right? Because even if you had to have 2 armies, you could, as a solo player, play both armies and then do it.
Yep.
So I don't think, I think solo and co-op basically go hand in hand. And I think that would be really, really good. I am frankly a little bit surprised that they haven't done more with that.
I feel like they could make a lot more money.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, that you could sell the co-op book that has all, a bunch of co-op battle plans. It has a bunch of co-op. Here's what the endless spells do in co-op. It'd be like a general's handbook
for co-op.
It's right there.
Yeah,
it's right there.
It's there.
What are the modes?
Siege.
Siege mode. So siege mode's pretty cool. So I think technically there is a siege mode in the back of the 3rd edition book.
It sucks.
It's not great.
It gives you one mini game and then you just play.
Yeah, there's a small mini game that happens prior to the battle.
And then you just go.
And then the battle's just normal. And I think there's only one battle plan that supports it.
Or ogres.
But it would be cool. No, I mean in the main
GHB?
book, there's one battle plan.
CB?
The core rules. The CR.
CRB.
The core rule. Yeah, there you go. CRB.
Yeah.
So, gosh, but if it was supported a little bit more, maybe there was half a dozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there were rules about, okay, there has to be a wall.
Through the middle.
And then every time you get a unit to the wall, they can roll, and you can modify that roll, however, but on something it crumbles the walls, like in Helm's Deep or something.
Yeah,
right?
or they set up a siege ladder and they can crawl.
Or they set up a siege ladder, and so maybe when you get to the wall,
or
the person that's sieging makes that determination. All right, do my guys go under? Like if I've got squigs,
yep,
maybe they go under.
under.
If I've got ogres or maggotkin, maybe they go up the top,
or just punch through.
So
maybe that'd be dwarves. They just punch through.
There you go. They're just sappers.
Digging.
Yeah, so I think something like that would be super cool. I would love to see siege rules, and given something a little bit more meaty than roll a die, get a pretty lukewarm bonus, and then just play the game normal.
Mm-hmm.
That's not exciting.
One thing you could do is that could be a co-op mission, like your team versus the oncoming horde of Iron Jaws.
Sure, like when they come up with the co-op book, that could be one of the battle plans they put in there, right? The defeat the horde, right? Every round they get more guys, and you don't, right? Because you're the defenders, right? So I think siege stuff like that would be really, really cool, and it would be something that has a classic fantasy flavor to it, right?
Yeah, that's like in every fantasy book, a siege happens.
Yeah, you're defending the towers, you're on the ramparts, looking out at the army.
Mm-hmm.
It would be really cool to sort of play that out.
Yeah,
right. I think that would be really, really fun. What are the modes?
I'll
tell you one that I think is absolutely essential. That it's crazy to me that they haven't done, other than again at the end of Dawnbringers, is multiplayer. Yep. How are there not multiplayer rules? Do they think everybody only has one friend? Everybody only has one person they play with? Are you kidding me?
There is one 4-player game. There is a 3-player game in the daughters.
Yeah, so the daughters have. But I mean, make a mode. Give us 10 battle plans, right? Give us a thing where we can play
with more friends.
3-player or 4-player routinely, right? And
I think what they expect is, you have more friends. You go on that team. You go on that team. Play.
Yeah, exactly. Then you just get out 2 tables. Like but I want to play with all my friends.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear my friends over there.
Yeah, maybe what they expect is like you two on a team working with an army, with one army.
I mean, that's okay. You can do that,
but it's not fun.
But it would be really cool to have. All right, 4 players.
Each has a corner.
Each gets their 1,000-point army, and you're all against each other.
And you're all scrapping.
And then you can have
one objective in the center. Whoever takes at the end of 5 battle rounds wins.
Maybe that's one of the battle plans.
Fight.
But you can have where everybody plays together. You could have negotiation rules, and you could do stuff to make it so that everybody doesn't gang up on somebody, right?
Yeah.
For example, you could say that
each has a hated foe.
Okay, you could do that, right? So you're better against one person than the other. So it's a little bit rock, paper, scissory. You could have it where the game ends once somebody's general is killed, right? So if you're not ahead, you would actually defend them, right? Mm-hmm. You're ahead, and you're going to kill that guy's general. So I actually move my guys in to stop you, because if you kill his general, you win, right? So I'm stopping you from winning by defending him, right?
And then they backstab.
Oh yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff, right?
I know. Now I want to play that.
There you go.
Now I want to play.
So, and again, you can come out with the multiplayer book, 10 battle plans, right? And then here's a bunch of stuff. And then, you could even give in that multiplayer book, you could say, hey, in multiplayer, here's how your battle traits affect. So like diseases can go on everybody, right? Or a weird flame can go on everybody. But when the elves are picking or when Slanesh is picking his euphoric killers. Not euphoric. What is it called now? Maybe it is euphoric.
Yeah,
killers.
it's euphoric. It's being euphoric.
Being euphoric. When you pick euphoric, whoever's euphoric, they have to go against. The die has to go to somebody specific. Right?
And
So
they go for them.
So they could sort of explain that to take away some of the
that'd be
questions.
an FAQ.
Well, in the back of the book, it's like, here's some rules peculiar to multiplayer. But nothing we're talking about is crazy. Nothing we're talking about is obscene or impossible. They could do it, and there's no reason they couldn't. Right now, they do have doubles tournaments, but mostly what it means is I bring 1,000 points, you bring 1,000 points. We play this side of the table. Our two opponents each bring 1,000 points. They play that side of the table.
It's still
go. It's like, okay, it's Warhammer. You just have two players, but it's still the basic game.
Two players with weaker armies. And
then you could have games where, like, you could have the ones we were talking about that strongly encourage you to not gang up on somebody.
Yeah, or you have like one person.
But then you have some games where it's like, all right, you can gang up if you want, and so the game is about negotiation. So it's like we're all fighting, and I say, all right, if you let me keep this objective, if you go and attack him, then
He'll give you this objective.
You could, or I'll give you a command point.
That'd be so cool.
You could do stuff like that. You could have this little economy working. Man, I just feel like it's right there. It's right. It's like, here's Warhammer. Here's an amazing co-op mode. It's right there. Just do it. Just get it. Please. I would love to see that.
Maybe that'll be 4th edition.
What else? What other modes would you like to see?
Another one we could do is like a giant versus tiny boys, where there's one guy in the middle with like a 2,000 point army versus 4 guys with 500 points armies. If they can kill the 2,000 point armies general, they win.
Well, I mean, something like that would be really cool. Where there was a Warcry battle we did one time, where whoever won, there was a series of games. Whoever won the games, they get a guy that's like a super boss, and then the rest of their army goes away. And then the other guy's army tries to go up against the super boss.
Yeah, and the other. So what it was is
Well, we don't need to worry about the specifics, but you could do something like that where the Stormcast are in the middle, and they get 2 foot heroes, but both foot heroes are like mega chads, right? They're just like super strong, super good buffs, and then you could bring 2,000 points of army to fight them, and it's just like.
Murder.
You try to murder them, but they're so big, and so you're trying to come in. I think something like that would be pretty fun. It would lead to epic moments where these super guys are either dragged down by a goblin horde, or the super guys are actually fighting toe-to-toe with a dragon or something, a zombie dragon. And
they're just tanking.
And just, if they just tank them, that might not be good, but they're going down equal. So you have like the Lord Executioner from the Night Haunt taking down dragons. Right.
Or murdering 3 birds at once.
So that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think all these options are available, and it's crazy to me
that they don't
do it. Like I said, you could put these books out and say, oh, here, like you could, co-op, multiplayer, and then I would have one that has like
Siege
stuff. So you'd have Siege. I would do like a naval one.
Oh, a sea battle?
Yeah, you could do a tunnel one, but it'd be like environments, let's say, right? And you just have a bunch of those in there. And each one isn't one battle plan. Each one is like 6 battle plans, minimum. And it kills me that they are not willing to do that. And just say, that's me dying right there. Yep. And just say, all right, these aren't meant to be strictly balanced. We're not gonna change these things up with any great frequency. But once a year, maybe you make a pass and you say, you know what? In multiplayer games, maybe Khorne is too strong, right? He's just too good in the multiplayer games. So at that yearly mark, you come out and say, okay, in multiplayer games only, these 3 things cost an extra blood tithe point. And that, bumps him back, nerfs him back down, and so it's more competitive again. But it doesn't have to be quarterly. I think once a year would be good, where you just put this stuff out there and you say, hey, this isn't meant for matched play. This isn't meant to be specifically even the way the General's Handbook is. This is meant to give you different experiences and to allow you to play the game in a fun way, even if not necessarily a perfectly balanced way. So I would really like to see that. Any other game modes?
No, I think we got them all.
All right. If there are other game modes that you like and you would just love Games Workshop to put put it down in the comments below. We'd love to read about them. I think there's so
We'll
much
actually have one.
opportunity. Last one.
Like a chase where you're running down like a road and the terrain comes on and goes off, and you can escape.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, those are sort of cool in particular battle plans. I don't know if you need a whole style like that, but maybe go in like the environments book.
Other
yeah.
book.
All right. Well, this has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.